Hello YouTube, welcome back. Chris here. Today I want to share with you something that was sent to me from parktool, and this is the parktool catalog. It shows everything they offer, all their tools in one spot, and gives some great pictures and descriptions of all of them. Now this really isn't what I want to talk about because it is kind of a 2020 catalog, and it's just all the tools they have throughout 2020, which isn't real exciting. We've seen a lot of this stuff before, but it is a great resource. It's got a lot of cool things in it. But what I really want to talk about is this. Inside the catalog, they included a new products fall 2020 catalog addendums. This is all the new stuff they came out with in fall 2020, which will be produced in 2021. Some of this has already come out, some of it has not yet. I'm sure you've seen most of these. They aren't all available yet, but let's go ahead and look through this and talk about the new tools coming up for 2021 from parktool. So it's kind of a tri-fold thing. We'll start page by page here. First one, this is super cool. A very, very in-depth suspension bearing kits. This has all kinds of different bearing presses to fit pretty much any size bearing for suspension. So really cool. I know if you're a professional mechanic or even a home mechanic, you may have struggled with extracting and pressing bearings because there's so many different sizes. You know, no matter how many presses you buy, it seems like you never have the right one. You end up using a socket and a hammer to punch the thing in right. But this is such a cool kit because it's going to cover so many different sizes of bearings. On that note, we'll also talk about this new BBP-2 bottom bracket bearing press and puller set. So this is really cool. I have an older version of this where it's basically just the press and the fittings for the press, but this guy also includes all of these sleeves for pulling bearings as well. So this will basically extract and press almost any bottom bracket bearing. Pretty cool, versatile tool to have. Now these are quite pricey, but if you're a shop owner or a service manager, this is something you're going to get a lot of use out of. It is well worth the money. Next thing here, SHX1 slide hammer extractor. Such a cool tool. I've used similar tools to this before. As you can see here, they're demonstrating on a hub. Really easy to punch bearings out of a hub, and something that a lot of times you end up using some untraditional tools or methods to remove those bearings and possibly damage some things. So such a cool tool for punching bearings out of hubs. I'm sure you can do other things with this too as far as different types of bearings, but that's what they're showing it here for. So super, super cool thing. I'm sure you all have seen this. If you haven't, one of the tools I am most excited about, and I'm going to buy a set of these eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I believe last I checked they were sold out at the distributor I usually buy them from, but the THH1/THT1 T-handle wrenches. This is a new variation of Allen wrenches from parktool. It's a T-handle. It's also a sliding handle. So this portion up here can slide further in either direction to give you more leverage. So super nicely machined. It comes in a full size range from 2mm up to 10mm. But the point of this really worth talking about is this feature right here, the strip gripper. So what they do on this, and I hope you can see it well there on the camera, but they do a reverse twist on this. It's an Allen wrench head that has a reverse twist. So it's going in the opposite direction of how you would untorque a bolt. And the reason they do that is it's twisted, so if you have a slightly stripped out bolt, that twist will give you grip in there and easily remove stripped out bolts. So super handy. I cannot wait to share these when I buy a set, and it is coming up, I promise you. Just don't know when I can get my hands on them, but super, super cool tool. Quite expensive, but again, if you're an everyday mechanic, if you're using this stuff for your job, I think it's well worth having because this is such a nice set of wrenches, and I think a big improvement on the traditional L-handle Allen wrenches that parktool offers. EWS1 electronic shifting tool. Now this is kind of an interesting tool. I don't know that it's the most important tool, but it is cool they're making stuff like this. So Basically what this is it has different ends like a 3-way Allen wrench would or a 3-way multi-tool, but they're used for different electronic shift components. So like for example, these guys are for plugging in wires in certain spots on Di2, Shimano Di2, or this guy here is for covers on coin cell battery covers on different devices. So super cool. They're always thinking outside the box, tools that you might not think you need, but again, when you're a shop mechanic, a professional mechanic, stuff like this comes in real handy instead of trying to find that one stupid Di2 tool that gets lost because it's tiny and it's insignificant. This is the kind of thing you're always going to have and never going to lose. This one I found real interesting. As you may know from my past videos, I did one of my first videos I ever did in experimentation was every parktool spoke wrench ever made. Well, guess what? That video is now outdated because they just added another one. SW9, double-ended spoke wrench. Parktool has done a few other spoke wrenches like this, such as the one for Campagnolo wheels, the one for Mavic wheels, and Shimano wheels. But this is kind of just a long handle, extra leverage spoke wrench, and it's used for the two most common sizes. You've got basically your SW0 on one end and your SW2 on the other, which is SW0 is a 3.23 millimeter and your SW2 is a 3.45 millimeter. So this will do most your basic wheels, most wheels with just regular spoke nipples, but it's got a little extra leverage and a nice grip on it. So kind of cool tool. I think that could come in handy. Don't know that I've had a huge use for this, but I could see where it's got a place. TWB36, crow's foot for a torque wrench on a 36 millimeter open end. They show it here used for a spider, which is kind of cool, so you can get the right torque spec on this if you're using a different parktool here for a splined type of nut. So that's a super cool thing that they're doing, so you can get the proper torque on different larger tools now, because they're using these to attach different mechanisms. So let's go ahead and move on to the next page here. I'm going to scoot this over. BMK1 and BKD1. Pretty cool. I've always been curious why Parktool doesn't make their own bleed kits, as there are so many different uses for bleed kits. The difference here, BKM is for mineral oils. This will do all your Shimano, your Magura, your Tektro, Promax. Sure, there's a million other brands that fall within that spectrum of mineral oil brakes, but majority of brakes will use your mineral oil bleed kit. And down here, BKD, D standing for dot. So this is going to do your SRAM, Hayes, Formula, Hope, anything that uses dot fluid is going to use your bleed kit here with the for dot fluid. So pretty cool they make those. I'd love to try those out. I've used a lot of different bleed kits, mostly from the manufacturers of the brakes, Shimano, Magura, Hayes, etc., SRAM. So it'd be pretty cool. I'd like to see how theirs stack up in comparison. One of the tools I am most excited about is this guy right here, the dummy fork. Parktool in the last 4 or 5 years has really expanded the dummy lineup. And what I mean by that is the dummy pedal, the dummy hub. They've done some cool things here to fill space as a kind of placeholder while something else is missing. So as you can see here, dummy fork kind of plugs in when you don't have a fork. So your handlebars aren't just hanging. You can still work on the bicycle if you're waiting on a fork. And they also have some cool attachments on the fork here, so you can hook up your disc brake, and they even have a little brake block here. So you can plug that in while you're working on this. So you can tune your disc brake and bleed your disc brake without even having a fork in there. Pretty darn cool. Not something you see very often. The other cool thing I like to mention with this tool, you can see this bottom piece here, which is, it's inverted right now, but it ends up at the bottom here, is almost like a little rubber stopper. And the reason they do that is this will encompass a whole range of forks. This tube here, or what you might call a steerer tube, is 1.125", and that'll fit really any stem up top. But if you have a tapered fork, this will fill just as well because you got that little rubber stopper there. So super cool tool. I want to get my hands on one of these and try it out, and possible future video there for you. On this page here, we got a few new tool kits. Parktool is always making different tool kits, so a couple of these guys. Looks like they got a new home mechanic starter kit, advanced mechanic kit, and a professional kit. So something to add to the lineup. I don't know if they just revamped these or if they're completely new. I think they just redid the ones they previously had. But super cool for people who are starting out and need to buy a lot of tools and don't necessarily know what they need, so they can buy it all in one lump sum. Down here we got some new specific tools for specific things. These are lock ring tools. It looks like these two on the left here are for e-bikes. I believe LRT, if I'm not mistaken, is a Bosch tool used for removing Bosch e-bike, I believe, crank arms, maybe spiders. I'm not 100% sure. I don't work on a lot of that stuff, to be honest. And LR2 is for Shimano steps. So pretty cool. They're offering more and more of these to fit with all the new technologies. That's one thing I love about Parktool, more so than any other tool company in the bike world, is when new stuff comes out and new problems arise, they jump at it. They're always making new stuff to basically overcome any problem you'll run into in the bike shop. Like if you have an issue, Park almost always has a tool for it. On this side over here, LRT3, which looks like it works for some modular cranks where the spider is attached from the back, and LRT4 is a Shimano direct mount tool. So a couple new tools that are pretty cool. And last but not least, our last page. Whoops, that's not it. There we go. This is a cool one, PCS 12.2. So Parktool has made many bench mount work stands before, but it looks like this is a more budget friendly one. Now this catalog does not have pricing in it. It's more of just kind of a highlight catalog. It kind of shows you the new stuff. But it looks like they took the head off of their cheaper work stands and incorporated that into a bench mount. So I'm sure this is a very affordable tool. I'll have to look up the price on it for you. I'm sure you can find it as well. But pretty cool for someone starting out who wants a cheap, effective benchtop work stand. That could work really well for you. Om2 Overhaul Mat. That's pretty cool. They've made a few mats in the past, and it's kind of cool, especially when you're doing something like this where you're taking apart a fork. You need to lay out all the parts and don't want to lose anything. It can be very handy to have. This is kind of a silly one, but I could see where it'd come in. Repair stand post protector. It's a little bumper patch that sticks to your work stand. I guess if you're got a work stand and occasionally your bike either leans on it or you've got it up in the clamp and it rotates and hits and you don't want to chip your nice carbon frame, a little rubber bumper there to protect the frame from your work stand. So they think of everything. And looks like they have a new tool tray. It says tool tray upgrade kit. So I don't know if this is actually a tool tray or if it fits into the existing tool tray. Let's see here. Oh, that's cool. New tray, motor shroud, USB ports, and oversized buttons to upgrade your Parktool PRS-33 or PRS-33 AOK into a PRS 33.2. So basically what this is for the big, expensive electronic lift work stand. So it's a way of giving you a little bit more functionality and some USB ports there to your work stand. So cool little upgrade if you own that massive, expensive work stand, which I dream of doing someday, but probably never will. So hope you found this informative and helpful, and hope you saw some cool stuff in there you didn't know about. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to hear what you think about these new products. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to make some more just like this.